Hey everybody, welcome to the kitchen. Maggie here. We are making a really special dish. I call it a special dish because it's one of my favorite things. Potatoes. I love me some good old taters. It's one of my favorite vegetables, right up spinach, potatoes, two of my faves. But anyway, we're going to make German fried potatoes. These are phenomenal. This is a dish everybody loves. Kids, adults, seniors, teenagers, male, female, it don't matter. Everybody loves these things. I served them several years ago at a German Oktoberfest farm to table dinner that I did, and they were a huge hit. And I thought, heck, I need to do these in the restaurant. And I've been doing them ever since, and they're so tasty. And they're not difficult. A little more hands-on time, but they're well worth it. So what we're going to do, the first step I did last night, because the first thing you want to do is boil 2 pounds of potatoes, just whole, like this, till they're just tender. So see, a knife or a fork can go in. You would never make mashed potatoes out of this. So you don't want them mushy, but you just want them tender. And then drain them and pop them in the fridge. That's all you got to do. Great prep step, easy, prep ahead, kind of get this thing done, knocked out of the way. I actually cooked mine, I think it was a couple nights ago. So, I mean, they can be cooked ahead a week and leave them sitting in your fridge. It's not going to hurt anything. You know how I am about people freaking out over food that's, oh my God, it's 2 days old. It's fine, I promise. But, get off my high horse, sorry. So what you do is you do that and then chop them up. So it's 2 pounds, and I went ahead and cut up all but one because I thought I'll cut up one on camera just so you can see how. You can really do them whatever size you want. You know, the recipe will say 1/2-inch cubes, you know, little cubes like that. I wouldn't go real big because you don't want real big, meaty's not the right word, but real big potato bites, because we're going to throw these in a hot skillet with a little bit of oil, lard, and give them a crisp outside. So you want that crisp and kind of mashed potato texture together. But your kitchen, your rules, so do however you want to do. But let's flip the camera. Well, before I do that, I'll run through real quickly the other steps because it's very simple. Next thing we'll do is make a little vinaigrette, and it's going to be some oil. I got 2 tablespoons of avocado oil here. You could use lard. Duck fat is amazing. Bacon grease is really good too. So anything like that, a saturated fat. Tallow would be good as well. Goose fat, all those things. Do not, repeat after me, do not use vegetable oils. There's no vegetable in that oil. There's no vegetable near that oil. That's nasty, industrialized seed oils. They're disgusting, and they're one of the most harmful things you can do to your health and the health of your family. So don't do it. Saturated fats. If you like coconut oil, you could use that. I mean, coconut oil's fine. I more bake with it than do savory cooking. Or if it's savory, it's going to be more kind of a Polynesian or Indian type dish. But anyway, I think you got the oil concept. So we're going to mix some oil with some Dijon mustard. Yum, love Dijon mustard. And a little bit of white wine vinegar. Whisk that up. That is our vinaigrette for the taters. And then you're going to chop up a cup of red tomatoes. You see the tomatoes in my window sill? I got tomatoes on the brain. A cup of red onion. This was, you see the size of this onion. So, I mean, this was a large red onion. And I did just a little bit less than half of it, gave me a cup, just so you get kind of a visual on that. And then here's the other thing. This recipe calls for beer. Oh, yikes, beer. I have no problem with beer. I don't cook with beer in the restaurant. We'll get to that in a minute. But you want a lager beer or whatever beer you have handy. I have this Kona Big Wave. Yes, I've already opened it. We won't talk about why, but whatever. It's open, but see, it's still mostly full. It's a German dish, and you're using 3 tablespoons of beer on 2 pounds of potatoes. So if you have a concern with drinking alcohol or feeding this to your kids or your family, don't. There's not enough here to do anything to anybody. And besides, once alcohol hits heat, the alcohol evaporates and then you just have the flavor. So don't be weirded out by it. But if you are, a great substitute, and what I use at the restaurant is ginger flavored kombucha. So I've got 2 or 3 brands. There's Live has a ginger kombucha. I personally prefer the Buddha's Brew. Fantastic brand. I use that. It gives you that same kind of beer type flavor, but you're not putting any alcohol. So anyway, that's just an option for you. I'm going full on beer here today because it's at home in my house and it's me and my husband and whatever. But you do what you want to do. So I'm going to flip the camera down. We'll cut up this last potato just so you can see how I cut it up, just 4. We'll whisk up the vinaigrette. Like I said, I've already chopped the onion just to save time on camera, and then we'll start getting after it. Okay, so all you want to do with your potato, to me, the easiest thing to do, and I'm sure there's fancy chefy ways of doing other things, but I just go through and slice it, and you probably can't really see too much because of my hand, but I'm going to slice it as wide as I want it. That kind of 1/2 inch, that's probably more like 3/4 of an inch. And then I'll take it and do it like that, just so it sits level and flat, and then do the same thing this way. Now, the one thing, you don't peel these potatoes, which is just another thing that makes it super quick, and you're not losing the nutrition and the minerals and vitamins and the value that the skin of the potato adds. But sometimes you'll see like the skin will kind of peel off because it's been cooked. I just throw it in the bowl and rock on. And then we're going to cut across this way. And some of your potatoes, depending on how cooked you get them, and you want them, like I said, kind of fork tender, not mushy. Some of them may kind of break apart and mush up a little bit. Not the end of the world. This isn't about perfection in your cutting. So we'll get these in here. And then we will whisk up the vinaigrette after I wash the googies off my hands. Okay, so we need 2 tablespoons of oil. I think I mentioned I measured off 2 tablespoons of avocado oil. Now, here's another little thing I'll tell y'all. About 1.5 tablespoons of that I had previously used. I actually had this jar in my pantry. I don't know if you can read that, but it says avocado oil, 1 fry salmon patties. So I had made some salmon patties. I used the avocado oil. I strained it real good. I put it in a jar. I put it back in the pantry. And I've used off of it for different things. And this was the end of it today, this little bit. It smells fine. It's not rancid. It's not been that, it's been a few months, but it hadn't been like terribly forever. Reusing your good quality saturated fats is a fantastic idea. It's budget friendly. There's nothing wrong with it. It's great. And if you see, this is a good quality avocado oil, and this is what I topped off with. It's almost $15 for, what the heck is this? A pint. Well, a pint plus 0.9 ounces. That is high dollar stuff. So if you want good quality ingredients, look for ways, unless you just like to waste money, look for ways to utilize it the best you can. And reusing oil, my mama did it my entire life. We would strain that oil off, pop it in a container, in the pantry it went, or if you think it's going to be a little longer before you use it, put it in the fridge, and then it's good to go. Depending on what you're frying, like if you're frying chicken that fries for a long time, you could probably only get 1 more use out of it. Salmon patties fry real quick, so you could get 2 or 3 uses out of that oil. So just a tip, for being frugal and being able to keep very high quality ingredients. So anyway, off that subject. Now let's keep moving on with our vinaigrette. So we've got our 2 tablespoons of oil. Then we're going to do 1 tablespoon plus 1.5 teaspoons. So that's really 1.5 tablespoons. But rarely do you find a measuring spoon for a half a tablespoon. So I just broke it down that way. So that was a tablespoon, and there's a half, there's one, and there's a half. So there's my tablespoon and 1.5 teaspoons of white wine vinegar. Now you can also use malt vinegar, which is fantastic. It's a little stronger flavor. I mean, it gives it a little bit different zing. Super good. I didn't have any, but I had the white wine, so that's what I went with. Now we're going to do the 2 teaspoons of Dijon mustard. See if I can open this up without it squirting all over the place. You know how it is. It was in the refrigerator. I got it out. It's been sitting here for a minute. It kind of started warming up, and then you open it, and it pops out. All right, there's 1 and 2. So I'm going to use my little half teaspoon to wipe out my full teaspoon, because we don't leave ingredients behind. Then we're just going to whisk this up. Now, it's not a lot. So you think that tiny bit on 2 pounds of potatoes? This is some stout stuff. I mean, not stout in a bad way, but it's a strong flavor. So you don't need a whole bunch of it. But, ooh, is it good. All right. So this you can just set over to the side, and we'll use it as we're going through with our potatoes. Okay, so we've got a cast iron skillet. You could do any kind of skillet, stainless steel, hopefully, or brazier. And then we're going to put half our potatoes. And y'all are going to hear some popping. I'm sorry. I know that's irritating. You do this in 2 batches. I guess if you had a big enough pan, you could do it in 1, but I always do it in 2. And so you're going to put your potatoes in that have been cooked, as we talked about earlier, you know, kind of parboiled, and then sprinkle some salt on them. Just, you know, like you'd salt an egg, salt the food on your plate kind of thing. And then we're going to let them just kind of saute in the oil. And actually let me back up. This was lard. And y'all know how I am about leaving a skillet on my stove with some bacon grease or lard in it or whatever. A couple of nights ago, my mom came over for dinner, and we cooked some steaks and sauteed some mushrooms and purple whole peas. And I did some kind of quick fried potatoes that were freaking to die for. It was, I parboiled the potatoes, cut them up in chunks, put more oil so they'd more kind of, not deep fry, but fry more. Put them in here. And then when they came out, I seasoned them with some pluck seasoning. I'll tell you about that in just a second. And so what was in my skillet was just the leftover grease, leftover lard from that. So, you know, it was about 3 tablespoons, which is what I needed. So I'm like, rock on, I'm using it. So as I stir my potatoes, you see all the little brown bits? If you're using fresh lard, you're not going to see that. So don't let that make you wonder, like, what the heck? But that's what that is. Just a little bit from the other potatoes, and it's going to be good. But, so we'll do this, and you'll let it go about 3 minutes. And just, you know, every, I'd say 30 seconds, stir it around, because you want it to kind of brown up a little bit. So I'm going to pause the camera so y'all don't just sit here and watch potatoes and then every 30 seconds watch me stir. Then we'll come back for the next step. These happen really quickly. It's just kind of boring to look at that. So hang tight. Okay, so the potatoes been going about 3 minutes. You can see some of them are kind of brown, and that's what you want. Now we're going to add our onions. So it's half a cup because I already did the first batch. And you just want to mix them around. I know that's really obnoxious. And then we're going to let this do the same thing we just did, but for about 5 minutes. And you're going to have your stove on like a medium-high temperature because you want to get that nice brown caramelized edge on your potatoes. And if it's down too low, they'll more just kind of steam and sweat. And they'll taste good, but they won't have that crispy little edge to them. So we'll let these sit, like I said, about every 30 seconds. turn them, and keep doing this for about 5 minutes. So we got over a little bit of a minute left on this last step, or not last step, but the last step we were doing. But a couple things I wanted to mention. Depending on how you like your onions, if you want them a little more crispy, you can add them when you add the beer / kombucha. And then they'll have more texture, they'll be crispier. I don't want crispy raw onions in my food. So I do it halfway through because that's just the way I prefer my onions. I want them, I mean, they may have a little teeny bit of crunch, but not much. Because I think I've belly ached about it before. I don't want no raw onion in my food. Now this is the pluck seasoning I was mentioning. It's freaking amazing. And here's a shameless plug for my market. I carry that. You can order it online, but I carry it. I've met the chef that created. He's got like a plain blend. Let me turn off my timer. A plain blend. A plain flavor, like an umami flavor. And then he's got a spicy mild, which is mild because I don't do spicy and I really like this. And then he's got a garlic. And they are all exceptional. So anyway, that's what I put on the potatoes the other night. I was just mentioning that. Okay, so now at this point, we're going to turn our heat down just a little bit, more to kind of about a medium. And then we're going to add our 1.5 tablespoons of beer. See, I mean, look at that. Boom. You see, that heat, any alcohol that was in there evaporates off. So you don't have to worry about that if that's a concern to you. Or, like I mentioned, use kombucha. It works very well. What I do at the restaurant is how, when people came to the farm to table, they had the beer version. But at the restaurant, they get the kombucha version, and people absolutely love these potatoes. And truly, the star of the show is this vinaigrette. Oh, it's so good on these. Okay, so we're going to stir these around for, roughly a minute. Just kind of get all the beer evaporated out. And we're going to reduce our heat down. Ooh, not off, which is what I almost did. But get it down to real low. And then the last step is we're going to add our vinaigrette and just pour it over the top of the potatoes. Y'all, smells good, tastes good, is good. And then we're going to cut our heat off. And you'll mix this up real well and then salt and pepper them. And you're done. And if you want to get fancy pants, you can put some chives or green onion tops on them. It's pretty. I don't ever fool with it just because I don't fool with it. I'm not so much into the fancy pants things. Look at that. I can't waste any of that vinaigrette. I want to get it out there. And that's it, y'all. My heat is off. You do this in 2 batches. I had already done the first batch. There it is. So I'll just add this to that. This easily serves 6, could even go up to 8 people depending on how big your servings are. For me, it's about 2 people because I love potatoes so much. But that's all there is to it. I got the heat off. I'm going to throw a little salt and pepper on here now. I'll stir that in a little bit. And then in the bellies, it goes. Now, one thing I'll mention, if you, like I'm doing this, it's a little bit early. We got to go out and feed animals and stuff, so we're not fixing to eat dinner. If you want to keep these potatoes warm and kind of crispy, then you can spread them out on a baking sheet, like on some parchment paper. Stick them in a low temp oven, like, 200, 225, something like that. That'll help keep them crispy. I actually just put them in a casserole dish, and while they're still going to taste amazing, they're going to lose their crispy edge because they're going to more sweat in that confined space versus being spread out. But I'm not worried about it. We're not eating all these tonight anyway. We'll be eating on these for several days, which I'm perfectly fine with. And that's it. German fried potatoes. Y'all give it a shot. I promise you, it's the most flavorful, different, you know, than anything you've probably had, unless you've had some of the German fried potatoes. Super good with some creme fraiche on it or sour cream. Oof, super good with that. But anyway, y'all give it a shot. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you here on the next video.